Well, good morning. We are live on only 4 places. We are live on Facebook, we're live on LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Twitch. Interestingly, I don't need Twitch anymore for my Animal Crossing therapy. The Switch 2 now has audio and you can connect a video so I can speak to my clients all over the world. Look, I'm MJ Lace. It says so there. Founder of Accessibility Partners and Inclusion. I'm also founder of my own life. And I'm going to talk to you today about why I am stopping to think today. Look, even if you are on Clubhouse, which, by the way, if you're not on Clubhouse, which is where this room started, and there's over 5,000 members on Clubhouse with the MJ's house now. We have been live on Clubhouse for 5 years, give or take a week or two. And I'm MJ Lace. I began 5 years ago by moving to Wales to become a social worker. I met a chap called Peter Cohen. He was GMTV's coach. He's been on TV for many years. He did In Schloss Island with a beautiful lady called Amanda and another lady who's no longer with us. He's done all sorts, lots of books, written a lot of books, but overarching all of that, he's a health coach. So I met Pete on Clubhouse. I came into his rooms at 5 o'clock every single morning, and he talked all things personal development. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'd never even heard of personal development. It's not something that if you come from adverse childhood experiences and a very poor background, personal development isn't something that really comes onto your radar, right? Survival comes on your radar, and surviving is about eating, sleeping, going to school, and staying alive is pretty much all there is. So I careered into adulthood, deciding that I was going to be a mum. Well, what else would I be? I was a woman, right? And I was a disabled woman. I'd looked after my mum. She was disabled, and it was kind of seen that I would be, just at home, probably a mum, maybe a family. But really, as far as becoming anything apart from a mum, well, they are. So I'd done some nursery nursing training, and that training was, well, it was great. It prepared me for every normal child that's ever been born. The only thing is there were no normal children, including my own. So my nursery nursing, honestly, was a great lesson for 2 years in child development. But the reality is that actually, when it came to raising children, my nursery nursing course didn't really meet the mark. And I would say that really about any legitimate training I've done, whether it's been as a SENCO, I'm a special educational needs and disability coordinator. I'm an assessor of dyslexia, things like dyspraxia, ADHD. I'm a coach for neurodivergence, a qualified, trained and accredited coach for neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, all of those things which I provide through Accessibility Partners. I'm psychotherapeutically trained, so I have clinical supervision for my work. It's really important for me. And so if there are those things that are, part of your adverse childhood experiences, when you come to AP, which I'll tell you about in a minute, then those kind of things are included. We have a health psychologist on our team, and I'm a trainee social worker, not yet completed. Been training in Wales for 5 years. So what is Accessibility Partners? Well, Accessibility Partners provides access to work provision, the best kept secret in the UK until COVID. And during COVID, everybody found it online, and the scheme is inundated. I think the reason it's inundated, by the way, is for those people at work or about to start work, or those moving into self-employment who have disabilities. You can't use the Access to Work scheme unless you are working or you're about to work. But if you do want to work and you are disabled, then now is, well, they say, when is the best time to plant a tree? 100 years ago. When's the next best time? Well, it's today. And I'm telling you, I've been saying it for 5 years. If you're not working and claiming benefits, you are not attempting to cross the bridge into financial independence. And if you're not, then I'm afraid that the UK isn't a place for you to be living. I'm not sure where else you could live, but I'm telling you now that the things I've been saying for the last 5 years are now well and truly coming to fruition. We are actually, what, we're 30 days for September, April, June, and November, all the rest of 31. So we've got one more day of March tomorrow. And really, the rest of this week is sent to us ahead of the Easter break. And believe me, after this next weekend, life will be completely different. This week is the changeover between what was and what is to be. For example, after the 4th of April, may the 4th not be with you. After the 4th of April, anyone in receipt of personal independence payment at the highest rate, who also then claim something called employment support allowance, um, until the 4th of April, they will receive something called severe disablement premium. And anyone who made those applications before the 4th of April will receive something called the severe disablement premium. Very important part of universal credit, or ESA, universal credit top up, that allows severely disabled people to live at the severe disablement premium rate. That's extra money every week in order to overcome the extensive costs of being severely disabled. For example, I had to pay 287, something crazy, 387. I mean, it was that crazy for a taxi for 2.5 miles just the other month. My latest device to move around on, to beta test price, is $5,099. I can't get any help from either the UK government from that, from a wheelchair service, or from Access to Work, as I was provided a different device. I have to now change that, as this device has proven not to be as reliable or as safe as I'd have wanted. So my honest reflection is that if you are severely disabled and you're in the UK and you're not involved with somebody like Accessibility Partners, I would suggest you go to our website, which is www.a number 2w.me. I'm just going to look if I've actually got a website I can pop along the bottom, and there it is. So there you go, it's there. You don't need my name, you know my name. MJ's house belongs to MJ, and there we are. So if you want to go and have a look at Access to Work and the Access to Work scheme and get to know what it's about, please go and have a look there. So we began the Access to Work scheme because somebody was referred to me that was struggling at work and was being performance indicated out of their job. And this is going to happen in the next year, 2 years, 18 months, that many disabled people will be leaving their job. Why? Well, because the government are cutting drastically the Access to Work provision. They say they're not, but they are. They say they haven't made massive welfare reform cuts, but they have. Cuts, no cuts, right? Welfare report reform, no welfare reform. The truth is that they are carrying out this regardless. I believe that they're going to save over 50 million under the table, and many of the individuals we're supporting are not being given the support that they required or had previously, and therefore their roles are at risk. Earlier, I gave you a link, certainly on Clubhouse, to MJ Speaks www.mjspeaks.co.uk. So that's www.mjspeaks.co.uk. And the reason that I've begun as a speaker on global circuits and stages is because the world really needs to know what's happening in the UK in terms of those of us that are disabled and those with intersectionalities. This is a real honest reflection. And I think today is a great time just to stop and pause. And in fact, the beginning of my time on Clubhouse introduced me, as I said, to Pete Cohen. And tonight I am at a stop to pause, stop and reflect, stop to think, stop to think. It's an hour between 7, I think an hour or two, between 7 onwards this evening. So I would say 7 and 8 guaranteed. And for any of you that would like to come along to that, it's 100% free. Pete's a health coach. He talks about the Magnificent Seven: eat right, move right, sleep right, drink right, think right, poop right, talk right. And one of the others: drink, eat, sleep, talk, poop, think. Yeah, that's 7. I always forget one. And that health coach session is really just to stop and pause and think. Yeah, there we are. Move right. And of course, I did that last night. I was swimming in our swimming pool, which is finally with a changing room as well. So you can go to the changing room and flush the toilet, and you don't end up covered with wee. Handy that, isn't it? So yeah, that move right, and that's what I was doing last night. Love swimming. Actually, I could probably stay in a swimming pool most of my life. So stop to think this evening. I'm inviting you to that. Happy to put the link on Clubhouse as well. I might just pop that in the chat. Let me do that whilst we're here. I sent it to some people this morning. I was at an Sendco conference last week, and I've invited a few people from there to it. I really feel that for many people, health and well-being is something that gets missed out, particularly when we are providers for the people. Let me see if it'll post. Yes, it will. I popped that into the chat. So if you aren't on Clubhouse, please go along to MJ's house. It's on replays. You'll find the link in the chat from today for the Stop to Think session tonight. And I'll be there, as will many of my colleagues and friends. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, I have to stop. If I don't stop, I can't start. That sounds a bit strange, but before every day I stop the night before that day, and I review the next day to see what it is that I'm going to be doing. And I think when we stop and think about what our plans are, it provides us that internal wisdom about what we plan to do, because my actions, the things that are in my diary, had an intention. And when I review what I'm going to do with that, what my intention is for this coming week, or for this coming day, or for this coming session, then I am much more mindful about what I achieve during that session. I believe that stopping and pausing gives us chance for honest reflection, for a real conversation with ourselves and with other people. And I also think it can lend itself to some really practical tools so that you're starting your week, even if you've arrived a little bit disheveled, even if your sleep is out of sync, and mine was last night, even if, you know, this period of time is a little bit unsettling. It is, because there's a lot being put away. There's a lot of things that whatever you're focusing on now, this is alchemically, whatever you're focusing on now are the seeds you've already planted, and you're nurturing them now. So these seeds have already been planted over the previous months. Now they're being nurtured, and what you nurture will grow. What you don't nurture now will die away. It is the way of the world right now. We have massive astrological happenings a major new moon, amazing power in Aries. It's been my birthday, but it really isn't just about an Arian now. It's about all of us. The alignment of the planets has never been like this for hundreds of years, and you just need to come as you are. I think that's the other thing I'll say about this stopping to think is come as you are when you stop to think. When you show up to someone, show up as you are. Don't make excuses. Don't blame. Don't shame. Don't complain. Talk about the fact that maybe you could have done with getting some more sleep last night, and perhaps it would have been better because you could have turned up here just a bit more fresh, just to yourself and then to those that you are with. Bring your own courage. Same as tonight. If you're coming, bring your courage. Be authentic. Be real about who and where and how you are right now. You know, I personal development, as I alluded to, not part of my family makeup. Nobody ever talked about personally developing, just about actually surviving, really. But in order to really develop, we have to stop and think. We have to evaluate. We have to look at who and what and how we are and how we're showing up. And, over the last 5 years, I've relentlessly got myself to get out of bed at 4 in the morning. My children call it airport time. I call it planning. I get up at 4 and I carry out my non-negotiables. By those, I mean I meditate, I journal, I take supplements, I move, I drink water, I take this kind of stuff. I know it looks green. It's like algae. And I also drink the magnificent Organo coffee that has reishi mushroom within it. Let me just take a sip, actually. I'll let it go cold, and I shouldn't. It's beautiful, both warm and cold. But tonight, bring your coffee, bring yourself, bring a reflection about how your mindset is, about how your heart shift has been, and how you are in this coming, Easter. It's, new, isn't it? New beginnings, new season, Easter eggs, the birth, the beginning. Well, the year's already begun, actually. So make sure that you are moving, but not necessarily pushing harder. You need to be looking at the things that you've put into the world over the last few months, because they're the things that you are nurturing. It's time to stop and think. Begin again. It's a Monday morning. It's always a good time to stop and think. I'd have done it Sunday night if I were you. I'd have also done it Monday morning before you even got here, reviewed your day, decided what it is that you want from your day, and then decided how you're going to move. 2 weeks ago, I released my first single on Spotify, and I set an intention in our intentions group, which is part of the MI365 program that I'm part of, my health coaching. I set the intention to release an album. I'm not sure anyone really believed that in the next 2 weeks I'd be releasing an album, but I have done. It releases on the 1st of April, so 2 days' time. It releases on Spotify. It's on 26 different streaming platforms, and it has 13 tracks. And I have been writing those tracks, assisted with all sorts of machinery and large language models as we are evolving in that arena over the last 6 months, because the things I've been putting in, the work I've been putting in for this period of time has been a 6 months AI course, artificial intelligence mastery course, a speaking and mastery course, and a manifesting course, as well as my social work degree. So all of that learning I have been doing quietly in the background, in live sessions online with people all over the world, 3 times a week, 2 hours at a time, for 3 different sessions, 3 different courses. So at one point I was definitely doing maybe 18 hours a week CPD, continued professional development, outside of my degree, which I've done all the work for. I've just got a placement to complete and a long study to write. 5 years of study, 5 years of practice, 5 years of showing up for myself, 5 years of putting the work in, 5 years of regularly completing what I had to do in order that the certificate's mine. But it's definitely time to stop and think. and time to begin again. Begin again looking at what seeds I've sown. Well, I'm an AI master. I'm a speaker. I'm an influencer. I speak around the world, and I spoke this week in London twice, and each time I was referred to as an expert, referred to as somebody that's on the circuit, somebody who can sit on the stage panel without the questions and speak from the heart, speak from the cuff, speak to a room of people who I've never met before. 5 years ago, that was unimaginable. Unimaginable. But why is it now imaginable? Because I have shown up. I think I looked and worked out there's been over 500 episodes. I think we have something like, I don't know, 50 podcasts now. Magical Manifestation has been running. That's another program of mine where I take my manifesting capability and train you in it too. It is very much personal development, but of the witchy woo kind. And some of the most amazing magic I learned around that was many years ago at a level 2, that's GCSE level, personal effectiveness at work program. It was a year correspondence course, and part of it was predicting the future, predicting what came through the door, who was on the telephone, what would happen next. And that was pattern thinking, that was pattern seeking, and that was intentional thinking about what's to come. So I began my alchemy in manifestation way back ago when I was teaching Vision to Learn, which was a great set of programs, and the personal effectiveness at work was on that program. So whether you are doing a doctorate, whether you're doing an undergraduate, a master's degree, a level 2 GCSE, personal effectiveness at work, really the vehicle by which you learn matters not. It's the intention you have for that learning that's important. And what were my intentions? Well, my intentions were to train as a social worker because I wanted to be a social worker. No, that's the very last thing I ever wanted to be. The same as I didn't want to be a teacher. My mum was a teacher. I wasn't that keen on being a nursery nurse because, to be honest, much as I loved nannying, I knew the money wasn't too good unless you were the nanny for the king, right? And I'm not. And I'm not a nanny anymore. And I don't want to be a nanny now. What I did want from that course was understanding how to raise my children. And like I say, they all came out neurodivergent, so all of that learning was kind of in opposition to the way that they acted. But I knew what was normal, therefore I knew what potentially wasn't seen as usual development, right? So my youngest was diagnosed very early, and subsequently their brother and their sister earlier than most. And then I was diagnosed, which is great because it means I didn't end up at one of those pension ladies who've just been told that they're neurodivergent. Although I was what you might call an older diagnosis, at least I was in my 30s, not in my 90s. So stop and think about what you want. I wanted my children to be independent, able to work, able to move through the world. And so I carried on learning to become a SENCO, a teacher, an autism specialist, a neurodivergent coach, a neurodivergent, and a neurodivergence therapist. Why? Well, because I needed to understand, and I needed to be able to integrate my wants and wishes and hopes and dreams alongside my children into a new reality, which was they were born different. I'm a wheelchair user. I have been for over 15, 20 years now. And so I move through the world differently. That's required different types of learning about access to work, learning about access to disabled students allowance in higher education, learning to appreciate and understand the welfare benefits system and its undulations, its moves, its shifts, its changes from family income supplement, if you remember that from many moons ago, to incapacity benefit, to employment support allowance, to universal credit, and now to the removal of the severe disablement premium. I'm telling you that for the last 5 years, I've been talking about the erosion of the welfare state, but actually we need to be talking about the erosion of all parts of the state, not just the welfare state. So tonight is an opportunity to stop and pause. Today is an opportunity to review what your plan is for the week And Easter weekend is a huge opportunity for those of you that get Good Friday and Easter Monday off to stop and contemplate and plan and decide what the next season of your life looks like. What does my next season look like? Well, it looks like a good completing job. I've completed the AI mastery. I've completed the speaking and influencing mastery. And I've also completed the magical manifestation, the manifestation mastery. I've now got to complete the social work degree. And I am working relentlessly towards that with the last 2 pieces of work to go in and one more placement, which is being organised. And it looks like will be from June. So no matter what the delay, we can still move forward because we can just reassess where we are and decide what's next, what's important now, and what's important next. It's a win-win, right? That's what it spells. What's important now, what's important next is a win-win. When we focus on what we are doing now, what's working well. What's working well? Yeah. www. What's important now? Win-win. What's important next? I think when we www.win-win, we are on our way. And what's working well is regularly performing like this without a plan, sometimes with a plan, sometimes with a remit, sometimes an hour-long workshop, sometimes half an hour, sometimes a 15-minute, sometimes a 2-minute pitch in an elevator. Your origin story needs to be able to be told in a myriad of ways. Being flexible about how we present information is really vital. It should be for the audience, it should be for the purpose, and it should be practical. So these kinds of things I've learned from doing things again and again and again and again. Iteration, repetition, do it again and do it better next time. When I spoke last week on stage afterwards, I reflected and thought, well, I could have perhaps next time I'll. And once upon a time, I'd have beaten myself up about those thoughts. But in fact, if on retrospect, I haven't got things that I want to learn and change, then what was the point in doing it apart from the information I give to people, which is important, right? But so is my development. So reflection, stopping, pausing is a great way to really authentically look at where you are, what you've got up to, and what's next for you. For those that are live online, it's great to see you. It's good to see those on Clubhouse too. And it's fantastic to see those on LinkedIn. It's good to see you. Look, I think stopping and pausing is good at any time, even if it's just to take a breath, even if it's just to land back in your body, even if it's just to look at the next step with some clarity. But actively taking some time out to look at where you are, look at where you want to go, and look at the gap between the you now and the you then. Because it's okay you're having a goal, but are you the person that can achieve that goal? If you were, would you not have done it already? So who do you need to be to achieve those, what I call lofty goals for the future? One lofty goal for me will be as a social worker that's also a practice educator, as one that's also an approved mental health practitioner. What will my role be, I wonder? Now that's quite audacious. They're quite lofty goals because that would involve qualifying and then doing the practice educator course and then doing the approved mental health practitioners training. Could be 3 to 5 more years. But if I think in that lofty way, then anywhere I get towards that is a step forward. If I think too small, then I think, oh, maybe one day I'll actually qualify as a social worker. One day, maybe, perhaps, if I'm allowed, if they'll let me. I've already put limiting beliefs on that, right? Whereas if I know my goal is there, then any step I get towards it is a good step. So I would say have lofty goals, but also stop and pause and think, what's the gap between who I am now and who I want to be to achieve these lofty goals? And then consider really logically what that person does that you don't do now. Because if you did everything that that person does, you'd already have achieved it, would you not? So what do you do that person doesn't? What don't you do that your future self does? And then what action steps are you going to put in order to begin again on purpose? Begin again with those lofty goals. Begin again with that thinking right, speaking to yourself right, because the brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. So if you tell your brain you're fantastic, well, guess what? It believes you're fantastic, because that's the point of the brain. It's a machine that computates what it is we want, and when we tell it what we want, it then makes every effort to achieve that. So when I tell it I want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's what time it wakes up now, because I've been telling it for 5 years. That's the time I want to be up. And if I didn't, I couldn't be in case management at 5. And that's what we do at Accessibility Partners. We review your cases every single morning to find out what's next. Oh, there's my PA just wandering in. I'm sure he doesn't actually remember on a Monday, that I'm live on Clubhouse from 7 o'clock. It's always interesting. So you get to hear him as well. I tell you, I turn up whole, I turn up as I am, and I turn up really putting up with whatever's going on at the time, to be honest. Because rather than just moving harder, pushing harder, it's probably a good idea to relax and just move the way that the world moves, which is usually a bit chaotically, right? So for those of you that haven't looked at this week yet, for those of you that haven't reviewed what the plan is, that just turned up to work or to whatever you did this morning, a little bit chaotic and a little bit not really thinking, and maybe not considering the kind of things you're doing at the kind of times you're doing them, and not really thought about what the day might involve. Stop. Just stop. Stop what you're doing. Think about what you're doing, and then think about the impact that you might be having on your own life and that of other people's. And then join us tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to give this to anyone that's here, actually, and there are some of you online. Please do put a message in the chat if you want to. And if you are on LinkedIn, I will see it later. On Facebook, the same. Please put messages in the chat about how you show up for yourself, about whether you were prepared for this week, about whether you reviewed what your plan was at work today, for example, and how you were going to move through the world, and how that might impact the people that you meet. I do that before case management. I try and turn up as me, and not stressed me. So I think about that before I actually click go on the screen, to hopefully have a smile on my face and a little bit of joy in my movements. So yeah, think about your day. Think about how you're showing up for you, how you're showing up for the people, and really what you're going to do about those lofty questions. Whether Easter for you is going to be a reset, whether you're already on it, whether you're already dealing with your Magnificent Seven. And if you fancy coming along tonight, then please do. I will attempt to put the link in the chat here as well. Let's see if I can. We're just going to be multitasking now, aren't we? Let's have a look. See if I can copy this. Let's have a look. Copy. Have a look. Let's see if it's taken me off anywhere. Might have stolen me. There we go. Comments. Let me see if I can make a comment. There we go. There is a link to tonight, and it's in the chat. That's what I like to hear. There it is. And that's really a plug for a friend of mine, Pete Cohen, who, as I say, if you come tonight, you will see that we are talking about stopping and thinking. If you want to book me to talk, then the chat is up there. The link is up there in the chat. And for those of you live on social media, both Clubhouse and everywhere else, I have to apologise for the background noise today. I've got to apologise really for Monday mornings, because what I'm going to do from now on is I'm going to put myself into a room and shut the bloody door, is what I'm going to do, because it would appear that I haven't thought about this as well as perhaps I could have done, or indeed the quiet stuff could have happened earlier on when I wasn't actually on social media, couldn't it? So that's me shouting. It is how it is, and it is what it is. So happy, beautiful, outstanding, motivational Monday. You what, darling? I didn't hear you. You shouting at me. I didn't hear that. Sorry, say it again. You have impressive shouting. Oh, thank you. Yours was too. I nearly spilled me coffee. All three times. All three times was, yeah. So today's been one of those days. It started off where I was prepared. I'm just not sure whether other people were, but there we are. We are definitely prepared to be booked for speaking. We're definitely prepared for tonight. The next chapter begins. It's that time of year. It's really a time to evaluate your own behavior, evaluate your own activity, evaluate how you're showing up for other people, evaluate how you're showing up for yourself, finding out what your lofty questions are for your own experience, and seeing what you want from your future. You see, I know that between now and next year, I have a trip to Uganda, a long and involved trip to Uganda. I know I have a graduation to achieve. I know that I've got a team to manage. I know there are massive changes in the Access to Work program, which means I have to change my standard operating procedures. And what I'm going to do this morning is, for those of you that want to, please do go on the website as advertised there. But I'm going to say goodbye to you all on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch, because I can't stand any more of the background noise than I've got already. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all. Have an amazing day. And if you do want to pop along to the next chapter at 7 o'clock tonight, then we will be here in 12 more hours live on Zoom, I believe is that link. So please do join us there at 7 o'clock. Have an absolutely amazing day. I will be coming to James on Clubhouse, but I think we'll make it a little more intimate, a little more me and him, and a little less airing my dirty washing on social media. So this has been me live. This has been me in a bit of a mess. This has been me with a lot of annoying noise in the background, and this has been me not really preparing the way I could have done. I think next Monday I might show up just a little bit better. Have a beautiful day, and don't forget, Clubhouse Monday mornings, 7 a.m. It doesn't change. Every Monday, I require 7 until 8 on Clubhouse, relatively quietly. So I will see you next Monday, when hopefully it'll be a little quieter. Have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.